Hello, 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 everyone. All right. Welcome to Apocrypha. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm sorry for the weird music starting out. It wasn't all weird when I started it, and then it just got really weird afterwards. So apologies for that. Um, and of course, you can't see us because why would you be able to? You know, why would you be there? We go. There we go. Now we're good. Now we're good. Now you can see us. So you can, yeah, and that's where Rook is going to be.
He
Looking at the
he will
ceiling.
appear there.
Yeah, he will be there eventually. Dyra is passed out on the couch. But she is present in heart and mind. So, well, I looked up like satanic music, and the first couple of songs were really good, and then like for some reason it got into something about like the Mormons or some shit, and I'm like,
If they can do anything sugar free with lemon juice, sorry.
exactly what Mystic just said. Anything sugar free with lemon juice.
Look, yeah, please. Look, I literally hit mute button and missed it. Trying not to bother anybody.
It
Brooke's
wasn't
in a
weird
bad
until
mood,
it
y'all.
was. Yeah. So tonight's episode is going to be an interesting one. We're talking about reclaiming the self. If you're wondering what that's about, read the description. You'll get a better idea what it is that we're going to be talking about. Um, but before we do that, as always, Mystic, what deck you using for us tonight? The Wild
This is
Unknown.
actually, yeah, this is the Wild Unknown. Actually, pretty popular and well known deck. Had for years. Like him fans, and I have quite a few different decks of hers. This one is just so really, really neatly done. I'm a big fan of her work. It's a very basic background, basic card, reversible, small borders, so that's helpful. But you can see it's kind of like a minimalist type imagery. It's very not monochromatic because there's color in some of the cards, but it's very, very specifically done. I'm a huge fan. Um, just to pull a couple of random cards here. Father of Pentacles, so it's son, daughter, mother, father. Very nature pagan oriented deck. Very common in Wiccan circles for people to use this deck. So um, some random cards here for cups. Love Canadian geese. So very interesting way that the artwork is done on this card. I've read with him a couple of times, um, and it's pretty good. Um, so we have our first card, the Ace of Pentacles. So this is actually a cross section of a tree, right? See all the rings of the tree going through the center, and it's supposed to be a redwood representing that primal and just full on energy of earth and of the nature of things. So aces and pharaohs generally tell us we're beginning something or we're starting out on something or we are pulling in something new. Pentacles is talking about this new opportunity that's coming up for us. So it's going to be something that's effective in our physical lives and our financial lives. It's going to give us good stability. So if you're having difficulty, things that are unstable or concerning or a lot of worry, Ace of Pentacles is like, look, just ground yourself. You'll be fine because everything that you're connected to is going to bring something new to you anyway. Stop worrying and be anxious about it because you can't change it, but you can react to it. And Ace of Pentacles is like new shit's coming and you're gonna have to deal with it. Either you choose to deal with it right or you deal with it wrong. And if you deal with it wrong, you're gonna have a whole lot of trouble for no reason. The second card is the Sun of this would be kind of like the Knight, right? So the Sun of Cups, again, we're in now moving into the water part of reading. So we have this energy with the Son of Cups that says, I'm ready to do this thing, and I know it's going to be tough and it's going to stress me out, but I'm ready for it. Problem is, the Son of Cups doesn't have any experience yet. We're inexperienced in this thing that we're doing, and we're worried about it and nerves, but we are ready. The Son of Cups, they've prepared. They haven't experienced it yet, so they're still nervous. They're still having trouble with it. But whatever this Ace of Pentacles thing is that's starting for us, it's going to help support our family and keep our things together, and our base hierarchy of needs. That the Son of Cups is ready to do it, and the result is going to be an emotional stability, and that's further supported by the stars. For me, it's all about direction and guidance. It generally represents that we are going to need to reach out, have guidance from those around us. We can't do it alone. So no matter what's happening, right, the stars are out. You can find and navigate life by looking at the stars. You have to learn it. You have to know it. Yeah. But you can. And that is, you don't need anything else. You're lost and you can't find your way. There's always something there to guide you. And that's what you need to look for, whether that's looking internal, whether it's reaching out to a friend, whether it's asking help, whatever it is, there's guidance available to you. So use it. A lot of times the star comes up when people are refusing to accept advice from others that they need to accept, or they just aren't listening and being stubborn. And there's people who care about you around you telling you, you need to really pay attention to this. You need to do this if this is something you do. And in this case, you need to listen. So all in all, stay grounded. Something new is on the horizon for you. You're ready for it, but you haven't experienced it yet before. So it's going to be very nerve-wracking, but you're ready. Good, especially if you allow people to give you guidance. You don't have to listen to everything everybody says, or do what everybody says, but you should listen and let that information guide you into what you're doing. And that's the Wild Unknown Tarot for that one.
I like that death card.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the point of this is to listen.
Yeah, it's to pay attention and listen, and not discount people. It's not the kind of listening where you do what everybody tells you to do. It's the kind of listening that says, I need to hear what you have to say, because even if I don't do what you say, I might be able to change my opinion and even do something completely different than what I was doing in the beginning.
Look, man, I'm so broke I can't pay attention.
Yeah, that happens. And if you can't pay attention, then you got to pay something else, right?
Right. I mean, I generally try to pay attention to everything that happens around me, but sometimes, the currency to pay attention is running short.
Very much so.
Yeah. But, so, hopefully you guys read the description. So what we're going to be talking about, again, like I said, this topic was arised from a conversation I had with Dyra last night, about kind of like, some personal shit was going on. It wasn't really like, it wasn't a fight. It was a very good, healthy discussion, actually. But it brought up some shit, and I thought, oh, that might be a good topic for Apocrypha, right? So essentially what we're going to be talking about is kind of like getting through the other side of toxicity, right? Like, so say you're in a toxic relationship, whether that be with family or romantically or, even spiritually to some degree. And we're going to talk about kind of getting to the other side of that and what healing looks like. I think first and foremost, I think people have this idea that healing from something is like a one-time thing, or like you sit there and when you need to heal from something, like you can do it in 3 to 6 months. And that's just not how it works, especially like, so in Dyra's and I's relationship, what I've noticed for myself personally is there are little things that crop up all the fucking time, and in the moment I have to heal from that thing in that moment, or begin the process of understanding that the emotional reaction that I'm having is like, wait, this isn't what I should be feeling, but but I'm feeling this thing, right? And understand that it has nothing to do with the person that's standing in front of you and everything to do with the shit that you've been through in the past. And you kind of have to work through it, in the moment, and become aware of it, and, kind of start to move forward from it, and become conscious of it. And that's kind of where the healing process starts. One conversation doesn't mean that you're healed, right? It takes some time, right? So, kind of like what I'm looking at is a little quote kind of I put together here. So first you were devoured, and now you rise with sharpened bones, right? So, Mystic, I saw you shaking your head there about like when I was talking about the whole healing thing, right? Like, healing doesn't happen like in a 3 to 6 months, or like after you like leave a situation, to tell the people, how long does healing take?
Forever.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong thing. So, and it's funny when I was chuckling when I was shaking my head was, I feel like people think that healing is like in the in World of Warcraft when you are half hit points and you heal 500 damage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're healed. You're healed. You're back to good. And like that's not how it works. It's an ongoing forever thing. And then when let's say you have trauma and you have healed you're healing, right? You've made strides. You've gotten through some really tough things, and then your life gets better, and you do things differently, and you meet some other people, and you do other things, and then you do something like, holy shit, everything just came right back up. So you have to heal again through it, this new situation and this new life that you're in, or this new process, right? So it just starts over and over. And I've learned that to accept that healing is not a event or an event. It's not a thing that you do. It's a way that you live.
Yep.
Then it continually becomes possible to grow.
Yep.
Think of it as an event. You're going to fail that event every time. You'll never reach the end.
Yeah, exactly. So to be more specific, so what the conversation was last night, what happened, it's really stupid in retrospect, right? So we were standing in the kitchen, and Dyer looked slightly perturbed by something, but still playful and joking around.
The way we say herbs.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine." I'm like, "Do you promise?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong?" She's like, "Well, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to mention it." Well, no, what's wrong? What's going on? And she's like, "Well, you know, you wash the dishes, and then I had to rewash a bunch of them, and it kind of pisses me off, or it kind of irritated me that I needed to, rewash some dishes." And there's nothing wrong with the way that she said it. There's nothing wrong with what she said, how she said it. There's zero problem with anything that she said or how she approached it. It was perfectly fine. But that simple comment made my nervous system go fucking haywire. Like my nervous system went right into like, you need to defend your position. And so like what I asked, I was like, well, how many times have you needed to do this, rewash dishes that I've washed? And because my nervous system was on fucking like haywire, like it was a legitimate question. It wasn't a question like I wasn't trying to make a point like, well, this is the only time you've had to do it, so you shouldn't be bitching about it. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was trying to kind of draw like a pattern, right? Of kind of saying like, okay, like, do I need to focus on this more? Do I need to like pay attention more to like what the hell it is that I'm doing? And because my haywire was my haywire, my nervous system was haywire, right? Um, I stepped away. I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to start projecting here, and I don't want to do that, so I just walked away. And obviously, that was probably not the best thing to do, but that's what I did. And anyway, so we sat down, we talked about it, we went through it, and through that process, I realized, okay. By the way, guys, the healing process has nothing to do with the fucking dishes. It had nothing to do with the dishes. The dishes were like a catalyst point for it, like a kind of a spark off. But there's some past shit that I've dealt with another person that made me feel very unappreciated, and I felt like that they were very unthankful for like the plethora of the ridiculous amounts of things that I would do. And I never got a thank you, or I never got like, I appreciate what you do or anything like that. And so what set off my nervous system was that, which had nothing to do with Dyra. Dyra, again, I'll reiterate the point, nothing about what she said was, wrong or incorrect or any way. But like I realized in that moment, okay, this is something I need to work on. That this is a point of healing. And no, the conversation last night didn't heal everything, but it made me aware, which is where the healing process begins. And it took me a while to kind of warm up. Like the thing is my nervous system, it was very difficult for my nervous system to recognize and understand that I was in a safe situation, that I could be vulnerable, that I could be, honest, that I could be direct, and this is one of those things, like why I mentioned at the very beginning here, is like, for some reason, people have this idea in their head that healing is like, we're going to have this conversation and everything's going to be hunky dory. No, it doesn't work that way. And I'm probably not going to be healed in 3 months and 6 months or a year, but the more time passes and the more Dyra and I have conversations like this about the same thing or different things, or and vice versa, her with me, we begin to learn that we can heal with each other. We can do that process together. Do you have any input there, Mystic?
I laughed because I was just thinking the whole time. I'm like picturing somebody like when they slam you on the head and say you're healed, like in the healing circle.
Like the fucking evangelicals.
Yeah, like it's just, and if
you're no longer a paraplegic.
Yeah, but here's what's cool about the healing process, right? When you start, like you said earlier, and we talked about already, having it open, right? Being aware that it's not a one-time event, and then having a partner that you can bring into that healing, and they recognize that, hey, we're all imperfect beings. That's how you know your relationships are working and that you're able to heal, because healing is not a single person event either. You don't just heal yourself. I mean, sure, you can. We need to separate sometimes, but the sum power of somebody that's able to communicate with you and you learn off each other, that speeds up healing tremendously.
Exactly.
Like I just love that whole idea.
Well, the thing is, the first time I've ever been in a relationship where I feel like I can do this, like that's a big thing to mention right there. Like, and by the way, like I don't feel guilty about talking about Dyra because she's over there fucking around on her phone on the couch right now, so she can hear everything I'm saying.
Good.
Okay, you're on Pinterest, but you're still fucking around on your phone. So she can hear everything that I'm saying, right? She's had a horrible headache all day. We've been to multiple doctors since like 6 o'clock this morning. So, she's had, I think, 8 vials of blood pulled out of her body. With a guy
that's not fun.
Yeah, with a nurse that forgot to take the tourniquet off as they were filling up the blood vials, so it really fucking hurt.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't take it off if you have, especially if you have high platelets, because it can hemolyze the blood.
Oh, really?
Sometimes it's on purpose, yeah.
Oh well, she was. It was agonizing for her, especially like 8
That's
vials. So, yeah.
yeah.
Because
I love hearing the joint healing discussions. Um, I used to not be able to tell somebody how I felt about something. I would just to myself and then blow up.
hmm
And even though it doesn't always work with Brad, when I feel or something that's specific, I just flat out say it now. And I didn't used to do that, and I never felt comfortable doing that till now.
Right. No, same. I'm in the same boat. Like I've never felt comfortable talking about how I feel about shit like until, you know, Maeve, welcome and hail. So, oh, by the way, guys, quick intermission. Next week, Shay's coming back on the show.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to just recently that's reading his book?
He just came out with a book too.
Another one
Yeah, he
or
came out with Friedrich
same one?
Nietzsche and the Left Hand Path.
Oh yeah, I read that like 6 months ago, a year ago. Been out a while.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's above my head. I'm not gonna lie. But it's good.
Well, I'm actually
It sent me
kind of
reading.
interested in it because of the whole nihilism aspect of it, right? Like with Nietzsche, because I feel like nihilistic philosophy would meld very well with the Left Hand Path.
It sent me down a Friedrich Nietzsche like learning path. Like I went back through and learned a lot of stuff with a lot of his resources, and now I've got to go back and read the book again because now I know a lot more about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, one of the things, so there's a few points here that I want to hit, right? So this is more of an LHP take, Left Hand Path, and a Jungian take on this, right? So, one, when we're talking about healing, trauma does not define you. It can initiate you. You can use trauma as almost like a crucible to initiate a higher version of self. And there's a good Jungian concept that fits into this, which is what you deny in yourself becomes fate. So the things in you, the trauma that you've been through, or not calling things what they should be called, what you deny in yourself becomes fate. You're fated to repeat it because you're denying its existence. Right? It's not fate like you're going to die this way. No, it's like it's not that deep and it's not that dark, but it is to say that if you deny something, if you deny a trauma that's happened to you, you're going to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
And you will keep repeating it.
Mm-hmm. Until you learn from it.
Yep.
Right? It's like a mini reincarnation, right? And this is the thing, right? I think that this is where like kind of like the idea of traditional reincarnation comes from, is because in reincarnation talks about the idea that when you die, you come back and you're fated to repeat life until you get it right. And that's just a grandiose version of understanding that you are fated to repeat your mistakes the longer you deny them being mistakes. Like you're going to repeat your history until you understand what your history is, and then you understand how to stop it.
How the soul grows, supposedly, right?
Mm-hmm. So the toxic bond is a mirror for unmet needs and buried archetypes. Explore, don't shame. Okay. And then I think this is an important thing. One of the problems with trauma is we feel ashamed of the trauma. We feel ashamed of the thing that happened to us. We feel ashamed for letting it happen. And then what happens is we fall into denial. We deny that it happened. We deny what it is. We don't give it its name. Again, this is where I think, maybe like if we're going into psychology and we're comparing it to Christian philosophy, if we look at Christianity, in Christianity, you know, you okay? Okay. If we look at Christian philosophy, and in Christianity, when we talk about demons, when we talk about an exorcist, what does the exorcist need to do to get rid of the demon? It needs to get the demon's name. Once it has the demon's name, it has power over the demon, and then it can exorcise the demon. If we apply that to psychology, and we apply that to trauma, there are parallels. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's exactly the same thing, but there are parallels to it. Like, if you can identify what the trauma is, if you can identify what the problem is, you can name it, you can give it a name, you can give it a face, then you can exorcise it from yourself through healing, through process. And again, this isn't a one ritual fix. This isn't something that's going to even, like, I'm going to keep reiterating this point. This isn't something that, is going to take place in the next 3 months or the next 6 months or the next 12 months. It could take 2 years. It could take 4 years. It could take the rest of your life. But as long as you're aware of it, you have more control over it, because then you can identify it as it happens. So I think that there are psychological parallels that happen here when we look at spirituality, religion, and religious process. Where the fuck is Brad? Sorry, Rook.
I don't know.
Did he fall in a ditch somewhere?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, there he is. There's Rook.
I want to say something. I want to hear, because he's been listening. I've been watching him and wondering why he hasn't put his screen on, but he's been listening, I think. I will say he's had his earphones on, so he's heard. I don't know if he's been listening.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say one thing on that, and that is, like, I think you forget too, we use the term trauma so much. Trauma doesn't necessarily mean like this huge, big, massive trauma. Trauma can be a lot of things. It can be small. Small traumas can grow and be bigger things. You can have multiple small traumas. Like, there's a lot more to it than that. So just for everybody, like, you don't, like, it's not just like I was molested as a kid, right? That's not the only trauma there is.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to it than that can really drive us off the deep end that we have to think about and feel and worry about. So it's just, I think everybody understands that, but I just wanted to say it out loud.
No, I think that's a good point to make, because I think when we do think of trauma, we think of something that is, massive, that happens to us. And, like, when the trauma, like I was talking about the dishes, that's not a huge trauma, but it's a small one that has happened so continually throughout the years that, it kind of built up. It kind of became something more than, what it might have been if it was just a one-off, right? And again, with the shame thing, like, don't be ashamed of the things that you've been through, right? It doesn't mean to be proud of them either, but you shouldn't feel shame around them. I think shame is probably, I was very disassociated with the word shame up until meeting Dyra. Dyra has provided a new perspective on that term and what that term means, right? So, I've always viewed shame as kind of like just a higher level embarrassment. But, having the in-depth, conversations that I've had with my partner, I've come to understand it on a deeper level than what I had before. And it's taken some time to kind of understand that definition. So when I say don't feel shame, towards the trauma that you've been through, it's to say don't be afraid of it. Don't deny it. Don't deny things that have happened to you. That's another form of shame. Is when you refuse to call something what it is, or say a phrase like, I don't want to call this something that it's not, even though it very clearly is, that's a form of shame in the form of avoidance and denial that it happened. And that goes back to that Jungian concept. What you deny in yourself becomes fate. So, Rook, considering that you just decided to join us from your journey home, how about you provide your 2 cents on the subject? What do you think about what we're talking about?
Well, I now over the past couple years, several years, can share things with Mystic, but he'll remember in the beginning there was something pretty embarrassing that I kept to myself for God, how long was it? Just till about 4 or 5 years ago, and then finally shared it, and it was like not only a huge weight, but that was when all the blockages to my employment happened, and when I tried to work with the Fae. So there's something to say for being able to have that intimacy or ability to share things and everything with somebody, because before I was like, I'm not fucking shit. I'm not telling that person that. What will they think of me? And I did that for like several years, unfortunately. So
Yeah, it's always a pain. Like, I mean, I've done that most of my life. I think the first person that I've been fully open and honest about everything that kind of goes on inside of myself and has gone on inside of myself and outside of myself is Dyra. But like right from the get-go, it's like, I mean, I think if you're going to do couple healing, like it's very important that you're in a couple that doesn't shame you or doesn't make you feel guilty for, that process and the things that you've been through. All right, Lilith 1984. Well, thank you very much. And I mean, just for being here now, because you just said you're from South Wales, so I don't know what fucking time it is for you. 1:30 in the morning. So, thank you for being here at any rate. So you get some rest. I love how like Mystic tried to say what time it was, but he was muted. And had a mouthful of food, so.
Mm-hmm. And everybody over there says it wrong anyway.
So, now there's another lens that I kind of want to throw at this, right? So, tonight I don't want to focus on just like a left-hand path lens with this stuff. We're going to start there. We're going to start with the demonic lens. So, one of the demons that I think would be best to work with when it comes to healing and moving past things is Belial. You could consider Belial kind of like a demon of independence and unchaining. Teaches us to stand without masters, even if once we called them lovers. Ritual journaling with Belial. Like, what am I still enslaved to? Like, this is something that could work. So that's just the demonic lens. But if we go into the pagan myths of liberation or that lens, Persephone, Cerridwen, Freya are just a few, right? So Persephone, Greek, right? No longer the abducted maiden. She becomes queen of the underworld. Cerridwen, Celtic, her cauldron of transformation brews wisdom from suffering. And Freya, Norse, right? Goddess of love and war. Both of those simultaneously. Fucking hell. Teaches balance between vulnerability and boundary. Right? So, which deity reflects your current phase? Descent, initiation, or return? right? Mystic. I mean, which one do you think best fits?
I mean, a lot of them fit. Definitely like the idea of Cerridwen. The only thing with Cerridwen is historically it'd be kind of a bitch. So gotta be a little careful with that one. Breed is often associated with healing poetry, things that bring calmness and grounding. Um, you're talking about like medical healing, not the type of healing we're talking about. It's Slepius in Greek. That's the where all the symbolism came from. Medical. Sorry, I got hiccups now. I'm eating too fast. Um, I think knowing what your thing is that you're trying to work on and your healing, and calling to whatever gives you strength and grounding for that would work. Would be good. Like if I'm healing from sexual trauma, I might work with Pan. If I'm working with trauma to reconnect to my roots or my origins or myself, it might be Kernunos differently. You know what I mean? So it would change depending on what I'm working with, but I think any could be utilized if you are looking for certain things.
Right. So to further this, right, I want to get into kind of like, I also did like a section here from another lens, which is more like kind of like Wiccan and Gardnerian. So if we look at the cycle of the wheel, we can say life, death, and rebirth, right? Samhain to Imbolc. Honor the death of the old you to plant the new, right? If we want to look at elemental magic, earth, stability, ground yourself in ritual, water, grief, let it move through you, air, clarity, reclaim your voice, and fire, willpower, burn the cord. I mean, guys, that's 100% your shtick right there.
I like the elemental connections. The one thing that I like about using elements is that they correspond with all different types of things. So if you're trying to heal from something to lessen it, you would work with the directions from the west and water. If you're trying to heal from things where you need to become stronger or you need to be more powerful for yourself, you would do the east, which is associated with dawn and growth and becoming brighter. If you feel too weak, stand up for yourself. You're going to do fire in the south, which represents sun, the fire burning bright. Or if you are anxious, if you're responding to everything and you're trying to reduce that anxiety, you're going to work with the north, which is the same as, full moon in your earth energy. So depending on how you look at it, again, it changes for what you're trying to do, but I don't think there's anything to do that would be wrong. Feels appropriate when you're working with the elements. I think of it just logically. I want to be more fiery, I work with fire. If I want to be more calm, I work with earth. If I want to be more loud, because sound creates on the airwaves, I go with air. One cool thing for me too is the ancestral side of things. So from the west, anything that has to do where I want to bring in, history and ancestry for healing the old ways, I would use water in the west. It's also similar to the fall, favorite time of year. So we're connecting all those things together, which would also be part of Nabun and Samhain. So all those things connect. That's one of the things I really do enjoy about paganism for me is I can connect all of those things together in a string of symbolism that helps me kind of work on whatever it is I'm trying to work on.
Yeah. Rook, what about you?
Well, I like the Hindu quite often, so I would work with Ganesha. I haven't worked with Dhanvantari, the Ayurvedic healing deity, but that's one I would go through, and then probably possibly Sekhmet for the war and the healing. I think something with the war coupled with healing together, that'd be somebody that I would consider trying to work with, but I have not.
Nice. I didn't even take that into consideration. I was going through this stuff, so you know.
Now I haven't, but that's somebody I would like to learn more about. So,
Nice.
Segmet and Dambantari for Hindu.
Yeah, Sekhmet is actually mentioned in some of the Temple of Set stuff. That's why I wanted to make sure.
That's where I first heard it, and I read a little bit, and it has a big association with war and healing. So,
You know, off topic, but just something I thought was it's a completely off topic, but I just think it's funny. So we were in Plaza del Sol, was it yesterday? Yeah, we were in Plaza del Sol yesterday, and there's this little kiosk that does like, you know, like statues and stuff like that, right? And they had this really big and really cool angel statue with the sigil of the angel up at the top. Uh-huh. Like Metatron or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool statue, but like, you know, I don't work with Megatron.
Yeah, Metatron.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I called it Megatron. And then me
Like,
being
kind of like
me,
Mega Man.
right? And then me being me, I'm like, oh, where's Optimus Prime?
There are no words. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
It was great. It was great. So going on, I actually went on a catapult here off of something that Mystic had mentioned. So Mystic was mentioning sexual trauma. So this is a bit of a plug, but not. It is relevant. So for those of you that know, I'm doing kind of left-hand path Jungian life coaching. And the process is called the Infernal Compass. You guys can get a free 30-minute kind of discovery call about that. You just go to blackmagicdaira.setmore.com and you can book a 30-minute discovery call. You can sit down with me for 30 minutes for free and talk about it. But on the Infernal Compass, there are pillars, and there are two pillars that I think when it comes to the sexual trauma that are very important. So there's the pillar of Lilith and the pillar of Asmodeus. So the pillar of Lilith is more of self-ownership after submission. So when you go through a process, a toxic relationship where you feel overly submissive, that you no longer are able to be yourself, and somebody forced control over you, the pillar of Lilith is a very good process for that. And then Asmodeus is reclaiming sensual sovereignty and feeling worthy of pleasure again. So there's a point with sexual trauma where you feel like you don't deserve that experience, right? That shame comes in and you feel like that's been taken away from you, right? That thing that you're able to give to somebody else has been taken, and you feel like you don't deserve, you blame yourself. And so I think that those two particular pillars are, extremely important for that, that process. And it's something that, was important for me as someone that, went through, sexual trauma as a child. It was something that was important to me to incorporate into, the Infernal Compass in that process. So, and here's the thing. So here's another thing important for everybody to hear and everybody to know. If you are a woman, if you're female, those two particular pillars, I'm not going to do those with you. Daira is going to work you through those pillars. So we kind of have a back and forth when it comes to the Infernal Compass. So we kind of go back and forth with each pillar. And so those two particular pillars, I found it probably not of like, and I found it in poor taste if I were to be the person to manage those pillars with someone that has, trauma on that side of things. So Daira is the one that is going to work through those pillars if you do go through the infernal compass. So I do have a little kind of like rite of severance that I want to kind of incorporate into this. So make a black mirror, right? So the best way I found of making a black mirror is I bought a cheap picture frame from Amazon, and I spray painted the back of it matte black, and then put it back in the frame and polish the shit out of the top of it, and it makes a wonderful black mirror. And it's like less than $5 to make it.
We've made them before. You can do a lot of really cool things with them to add to the ambience of a black mirror. If anybody's ever interested.
Yeah, definitely. So
They're really cool.
Yeah, so I definitely suggest the black mirror thing. Use acrylic black paint. That works good. Yeah, I mean, whatever you can get your hands on, right? I just use spray paint, so that's just a me thing. But make the black mirror. Set the black mirror in front of you. You want to light a candle, you can light a candle. And one of the things that, can be stated is something of the nature of, I release the echo of you. You are no longer the voice in my silence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you want to do oils or incense, I would suggest myrrh, wormwood, anything of that nature. Right? So.
Myrrh.
Murmur. So, yeah. So healing is not the takeaway for today's episode, guys. Healing is not a quick process. It's just not. But I will tell you from personal experience, being able to go through that journey with someone else and feel understood, even though you're the one being a jackass. That made her giggle. Is absolutely priceless. It's absolutely priceless. So, and I'm sure the two gentlemen above me can, second that.
What, did you do stupid shit sometimes?
What, did I do stupid shit? I'm talking about you two.
Other things.
Talking about personally, yeah, I think it hits harder when you know you're the one being the jackass.
Yeah. And he raises his hand.
I think the interesting thing is like as we do hopefully get older and learn more about each other and grow, just as human beings, start to learn how to do that a little bit better as a whole,
Well, see, the thing is,
agree.
Daira has it down packed to a science. Like, she doesn't have to call me an asshole. I call myself an asshole. And then she just repeats and says, hey, those are your words, not mine.
Hey.
So, but yeah, I have no complaints. And I thought that this is something that was important to talk about because it's something that has been on the forefront of my mind since yesterday, and I thought important to, because we're all trying to heal from something, right?
Yeah, everybody wants to be better.
There's not a single one of us that doesn't need to heal from something.
My hand's healing,
right? I mean, yeah, it could be physically, it could be emotionally, spiritually.
There's not only a lot of stuff that we all need to heal from, but we have new injuries, new things to heal from as we go, even if they're small. There are just things that need to be addressed over time. Mm-hmm. I know for me, like even recently, there's been situations where I've had to look back and say, wait a minute, I don't feel bad for how I react. I never feel guilty if I react inappropriately for something that, I'm stressed about or anxious about, but I also learned to say it so that we can talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, All right. Well, on that note, I think that is going to cover this evening's episode. Sometimes crying is a good way to heal. Yeah, I don't think crying is a good way necessarily to heal. I don't know if I've ever actually healed from crying, but sometimes it feels good. Get drunk, put on a sad song, and just bawl your fucking eyes out for no apparent reason.
I think there's some healing. I don't think, just like again, healing's not an event, so crying doesn't heal, but
It's more
crying
cathartic.
It charges the healing system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely more
Like
cathartic.
when I'm really upset about something, or I get, I cry about it, or I feel really poorly about it, it institutes, or it gives me some direction usually.
Yeah, we watched.
Like I can identify that feeling.
Yeah, we watched last night. We watched the Sophie Lancaster drama thing. Like, so they made like a movie about. Do you know who that is, right? Okay, so Sophie Lancaster was when did that happen? That was in the 90s, wasn't it, babe? 2007 that happened. Okay. So in 2007 in England, there is this girl and her boyfriend that had the ever living shit beat out of them for being goth. And she died and he didn't. And so it's the whole case of like basically them like trying to build the case and find the people that actually killed her and almost killed him, just for being goth. This ties into the whole cathartic crying thing, right? Because I thought it was weird. So we were watching a similar drama about this little kid in England that got hit by a stray bullet and killed. And I was at the point of crying through almost the whole fucking thing, And, and then she was like bawling her eyes out, like watching the Sophie Lancaster thing. Point of being is sometimes you don't want to cry when you feel the need to, but if you feel the need to, you probably should. Like it goes into denying, right? Like don't deny your emotional state. Allow yourself to feel the things that you're feeling. It is part of the healing process.
I like what Maeve just said, remembering the lessons that our patrons teach us through indirect means is healing and releasing. We definitely should pay more attention to those signs and things, because we forget them. Things that you heal from, you said this earlier, 10 years ago, you sit back and do the same thing 10 years later, like, holy shit, I deserve that one.
Yep.
So, Loki put his foot out and tripped you for a reason, because you're not paying attention.
Yep. 100%.
So, yeah.
All right. With that being said, I think that's going to, cover what it is that we wanted to, what we're setting out to talk about. I always feel bad because like Mystic is always eating his dinner when we're live, and then like we end the live and he no longer has food in front of him, so he's not fully enjoying his meal.
It's good. It's always just bad time.
So, but
as long as nobody minds watching me eat. Yeah.
Hey, I've eaten potato chips and everything on this stream before, so it's all good. Remember, there you go, Lays. Remember, next week Shay is coming back. Hold on a second, I can't remember his last name. What the hell?
Shay Belay.
Belay. Okay, I always want to say Bile, but it's not what it is.
Yeah, no, he corrected us last time.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when that book came out. I ordered it pretty quickly, pretty early on. It was good. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, so I haven't read it, but I kind of want to. I saw he posted it somewhere. I was like, oh, that sounds like it might be interesting.
It is. It's very, very, very academic and well written.
So, but yeah, I sent him a message asking if he'd like to come back on. He's like, definitely. So that's a conversation I'm looking forward to having, and he'll be on next week. Try to get him on tonight, but I am notorious for short notice. So.
True.
Yeah, exactly. So Anyway, everyone, thank you for being here. You guys are fucking amazing. You are the reason that we do this. If you're interested in any services from myself or Black Magic Dyra, that is blackmagicdyra.com. It's actually Black Witch Dyra. Black Magic Dyra is the business. That shit's so fucking confusing. So, I'm hoping in the next 12 months I'll be able to convince her to change the business name to something easier to remember. Not get confused, rather. These two gentlemen, you guys doing your thing tomorrow?
Yes, we are going to be doing it kind of haphazard. Yes.
Okay, cool. So they're going to be doing their thing tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do Satan and Coffee tomorrow because I'm doing Satan and Coffee in the week. I know it's a 3-day thing, but I need to cut the grass and I didn't do it yet. And I don't know if I'm going to do it now because I've been drinking wine and I don't know if operating a machine that is designed to rip through things is a smart idea being slightly inebriated. So I may forego the grass cutting this evening and cut it tomorrow.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So, and I've gone through more than half a bottle of wine this evening. So, yeah, probably going to forego it until tomorrow. So I may not do Satan and Coffee. Adversary of my adversary is on a hold. It's on a temporary hold until we can figure out how to get past Dyra's headaches. We need to make sure that Dyra is calm and happy, like a little plum, because she's carrying a baby. And yeah, there have been some complications, and we just need to make sure that, you know, everything's kosher. So that is on pause. It's not canceled indefinitely, but for the foreseeable future, do not expect an episode of Adversary of my adversary to be cropping up during the pregnancy. Okay, so for the next, well, you're halfway through it now. Just over. So we got about 19 weeks left. So don't expect an episode of Adversary of my adversary for the next 19 weeks. We may get some guest appearances from Dyra on Apocrypha here and there, if she's feeling up to it, but don't expect it. But she will be coming back full time after the pregnancy, or like shortly after the pregnancy, rather. And she is working on some amazing content that isn't out yet, but she's working on some stuff. Some posts, some Instagram posts and things like that. So she'll still be out there in the ether, but you know, she needs time to make sure that her body is doing what it needs to be doing the right way. Okay.
Yep.
So I just want to put that out there for everybody. Anyway, on that note, thank you all for being here. You all are fucking amazing. And as always, hail thy fucking self. We'll see you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.